afternoon, everyone. Well, as you know, it's taken almost a year for me to finally be able to stand up in front of you again. This is actually my 4th day, and of course they've changed the time as well, but I'm really pleased that you will all be here. I'd like to welcome you all. I think all the official welcomes have already been done, and Dr. Mutwa, thank you for that, and welcome to you also. From my side, I'd just like to thank you all very much for coming out on this cold afternoon. And let me tell you, I really feel really good inside and quite calm and confident. It's just so nice to have such support. I kind of feel that if the slides don't work, then everybody will be there in support me. And I think every single one here, I get the feeling that you really are just rooting for me, and I just really do feel supported. And I want to thank you very much for that. Allow me just a moment to thank a few people. I think first of all to my mom and my late dad. Thank you for all the love and support over the years, and for the wonderful Loving Home and Garden Foundation that you've provided my brothers and my sister and I. And to my brothers, Andre and Charles, thank you for your friendship. You've been my friends, and for all your care, also to your wives, Diane and Nikki, who unfortunately can't be here. So thanks for driving all the way through Complex, especially in this lousy weather. Special thanks to my sister Renee and her family, Sean, Ross and Clara. You've always been my home away from home, and especially all your support for the children the last few years. It really means a great deal to Robin and I. To my husband Robin and our children, Caden and Taylor, you've been an answer to prayer for me, and thank you for adding so much value to my life. And Henny, my mom-in-law, thanks so much for coming, and once again Suzette. Suzette actually flew down. This is the second time she's flown down for my lecture. And I really appreciate that, and for your mom for coming. You know, I was thinking, I've probably lectured thousands of students over the years, and I've done hundreds of lectures, but I've never had the privilege of having my family sit in on a lecture. So I really look forward to sharing with you a little bit about what's been keeping me so busy over the last few years and keeping me out of some of the fun stuff. And then, of course, to many thanks also to all my colleagues in the Department of Business Management. I really could not have asked for a better group of people to work with, every single one of you. And especially my friend Elmarie, I don't need to give you her surname, you all know who she is. Elmarie, for all your support. I know you always got my back, and I really look forward to many more years of working together with you. I also want to extend my appreciation to my previous director of school, Prof. Strubik, who's hiding at the back there, and my current head of department, Prof. Mazibuka, for all your encouragement and support. And also, it's really just such a pleasure working with you both. Also, my previous head of department, Prof. Bosch. Prof. Bosch in 1995, it's almost 21 years today. You played a significant role in the start of my academic career, and it's really a great privilege for me that you could be here to spend today with me and experience this highlight of my academic career with me. Ladies and gentlemen, I think most importantly, I'd like to thank my Heavenly Father for blessing me with the abilities that I have, and for all the wonderful opportunities that I've had over my academic career. I really I wouldn't be here without him. And this afternoon, I'd like to dedicate my lecture, titled Family Business, a Legitimate Scholarly Field, to both my family at home and also my family at work, my colleagues in the Department of Business Management. Now let's hope everything happens as planned. The structure of my lecture this afternoon will basically be as follows. I'll provide you with a little bit of background to family business and the prominence and contributions of these businesses. This will be followed by an overview of the field and how it's developed and who some of the key role players are in this development. And I will highlight some of the reasons why scholars study these businesses, and also some of the challenges faced by scholars in the field. And then also I will conclude with how I believe that research on family business in South Africa can contribute to the field as a whole. But my main purpose is to introduce you to the field, to convince you of its legitimacy, and to hopefully to generate some interest among you. Ladies and gentlemen, family members have worked together since the beginning of time. You know, Adam and Eve worked together as custodians of the Garden of Eden. Joseph and his brothers tended his family's flocks, and even Jesus, he worked alongside his father as a carpenter. And according to anthropologists, the family is the original economic unit from which all other forms of economic organization have sprung. If we look at the concept of family, it can be defined narrowly, referring to the nuclear family, a mother, father, and possibly some children, and yes, those happen to be mine. More broadly, your extended family, people relate to the family by marriage, often comprising of multiple generations. And then extending on this definition, we get non-biological families. These are groups of people that have a shared history, there's an emotional bonding, and they have common future goals. Some of you might recognize yourself in some of these pictures. Now, families provide for their members, who are expected to contribute in return. They shape the values of members. Their families influence their values, their attitudes, and their behavioral choices. Relationships between family members are characterized by trust, affection, love, but of course conflicts are normal. Families are normally governed by a patriarch or a matriarch who is responsible for distributing resources and entrusted to lead and to delegate, and of course to manage conflict. Now, whether working together to feed themselves or for economic gain, families have long served as the backbone of ancient economies and civilizations, and have played a significant role in the development of Western civilization. You know, the economic activities of ancient Greece were largely controlled by families and home-based. So too during the time periods that followed. Families drove the early process in the economic development of the Industrial Revolution. And you know, there are many well-known families that made their fortunes during those early days. Now, family businesses have persisted as an organizational form into the 21st century, despite forecasts of their so-called inevitable demise, or critics labeling them as anachronistic. I actually had to check out what that meant. It means old-fashioned. To this day, family members largely control many of the world's largest modern public companies. In fact, a recent article in The Economist reads as follows: "You can happily go through a day consuming nothing but the products of family concerns, reading the New York Times, driving a BMW, making calls on your Samsung, munching on Mars bars, and watching Fox on your cable. And their growth is likely to continue." McKinsey predicts that in 2025, family companies from the emerging world will account for 37% of all companies with an annual revenue of more than 1 million. Today, family businesses account for the largest percentage of economic activities in most countries in the Western world. They account for 2/3 of all businesses, 70 to 90% of global GDP, and between 50 and 80% of jobs in the majority of countries. Now, the Global Family Business Index is an index that's compiled to identify the so-called upper echelons of all family businesses globally, and this in terms of business success. Now, this index highlights the 500 largest family firms in the world by means of revenue. These 500 firms generate $6.5 trillion in sales, with an average of 13 billion, employ 21 million people, with an average of over 42,000. The average firm age is more than 88 years, with nearly half of them being in their 4th generation or older. Most of them come from the United States or Europe, and a more or less even number being privately and publicly held. Now, this index, the largest firm, hope you could all see clearly, by revenue is Walmart stores, followed by Volkswagen and Berkshire Hathaway, and we sincerely hope that Volkswagen will still be up there in the future. Walmart was by far the biggest, employing more than 2 million people. The only South African family business to appear on this list, based on how they are defined, is Pick n Pay with the Ackerman family, in position number 224, employing nearly 50,000 people. And you may have noted in the top 10 are 3 motor manufacturers, VW, Ford, and BMW. Now, taken together, this index highlights the ability of family businesses to generate considerable value, and sometimes over very long periods of time. You know, in fact, the world's oldest family business operated continuously for more than 1,400 years. It was a Japanese construction company that passed through 40 generations. And at the time of its sale, it still specialized in building Buddhist temples. And its president was the 50th family member to lead the firm. I hesitated to try and pronounce any of these words. South Africa's oldest this family business. There's a fruit farm, Boerplaas, situated in the Koa-Bokke farm. It was established in 1743 and it is already in the 9th generation, managed and owned by 2 brothers. There's already evidence that the 10th generation is actively involved in this family business. Now, irrespective of their scope, their size, their legal form or industry in which they operate, family businesses are seen as the backbone of corporate life across nations and a cornerstone of socio-economic development. Now, despite all their contributions, family businesses have only been of interest to researchers since the 80s. At the end of the 20th century, the field was only about 25 years old. Now, this is a really short history in comparison to something like accounting, which has been the subject of research for more than 400 years already. Now, the start of the field can be traced back to 2 publications. One was in 1953 and the other one in 1961. And it was these publications that sowed the seeds for the field. But it was actually a special issue on family business and organizational dynamics in 1983 that really triggered interest in the field. And it was this special issue that broadened awareness in the research community and also set forth ideas for future studies. In October 1984, several scholars got together in a New York apartment. You can kind of imagine them sitting around having coffee. Hey, let's start a new field. It was from this meeting that the Family Firm Institute and the Family Business Review were born. Prior to this, there was near complete neglect of family business studies in mainstream management research. Today, the field hosts 4 academic peer-reviewed journals that are dedicated to the study of family business. Family business articles are broadly published today, regularly appearing in top-tier strategy, management, finance, amongst other journals. It's this broader publication that has increased the overall status as well as the legitimacy of the field. The Family Business Review, however, dominates. It's the preferred publication outlet for almost all family business scholars. In 2014, it was ranked in the top 5 business journals, received a record-breaking 245 submissions from first authors located in 36 different countries. Looking at the category rankings of business journals in 2015, Family Business Review was ranked 4th with an impact factor of 5.528. This is up from 4.2 the previous year. The Journal of Family Business Strategy was ranked number 61 with an impact factor of 1.3, only after 5 years of publication. And the only South African journal to appear on this list, in number 112, was the South African Journal of Business Management with an impact factor of only 0.1. Now, this increased impact factor of both the Family Business Review and the Journal of Family Business Strategy signals an increase in interest, research submissions, readership, and reputational respect of family business research. During the last 30 years, there's also been an increase in the total number of published articles. A search of the ABI-informed global database found more than 12,500 peer-reviewed articles on family business. While there were only 111 articles published prior to 1970, the average number of articles that have been published since then have increased significantly each year. For the first decade of this century, more than 5,500 articles were added. And during the period 2010 to 2014, another 4,021 new family business articles were added to this database. Now, pioneers in the field were originally scholars who consulted to family businesses on the issues and the problems and the challenges they faced. Almost all were affiliated to a university and a consulting firm. Until the mid-1980s, the field was dominated by a few researchers, but since the 90s, there's been a rapid increase of scholars attracted to the field, and these numbers have continued ever since. In 2014, SAGE reported that the Family Business Review was distributed to over 9,500 subscribers in 187 countries. These scholars are from a variety of disciplinary backgrounds and theoretical perspectives. In fact, there was a call for papers on family business by the Journal of Management Studies in 2009. This call received 42 articles from family business. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but these 42 articles drew from 22 distinct theories from 5 major disciplines. And it's this diversity of among scholars that has also helped legitimize the field and extend the body of knowledge. Since its inception, the field has borrowed heavily from other disciplines, and in fact most research today is still well grounded in theories drawn from other disciplines. These theories have contributed to the development of several theoretical and conceptual models, and most of them adopting some kind of approach of overlapping systems to try and explain family-business interactions. Now, although various models have arisen, the three-circle model, which is based and built on the two-circle model, is the predominant form and the model of choice. It still remains the primary theoretical model. And this model describes family businesses as complex systems consisting of three overlapping subsystems: the family, the business, and ownership. Now, the three-circle model may be useful for explaining and classifying family business problems, but in terms of theory building, it lacks a dependent variable. And knowledge of such a dependent variable is necessary for advancing theoretical development in a field, and it also helps to define the boundaries of a domain. Although agency theory and resource-based view of the firm have dominated the discourse, over the years, researchers have used many different theories. Most of them are not really suitable for explaining and understanding family business issues. And a primary concern of the field has to be to develop an own theory, a broad theory of the family business. Now, in fact, calls for an original theory relating to family business have been made for years, and such a theory needs to address how and why family businesses behave and perform in a manner that is different to non-family businesses. Now, there have been two concepts that have made some progress towards the development of such a theory. The one is called familyness, and the other one called socio-emotional wealth. Now, the concept of familyness has its origins in a resource-based view. This theorizes that businesses are able to outperform others if they can develop resources and capabilities that cannot easily be copied. As such, familyness refers to the unique set of resources of a family business which arise from the interaction between the family system as a whole, the individual family members, and the business itself. It is argued that these interactions lead to hard-to-duplicate resources and capabilities that give family businesses a competitive advantage and make them particularly suited for survival and growth. Socio-emotional wealth, on the other hand, refers to the utilities that family business owners derive from the non-economic aspects of their business. In fact, what happens is family business owners are likely to see potential gains, like family reputation, and losses, like damaged reputation, as the primary frame of reference in making decisions and in the management of their firm. Today, socio-emotional wealth is considered an emerging, unifying theoretical norm for the field as it addresses the core issues that make family business unique and is built on the family business research itself. On the topical scope of family business has also evolved over time. Until the mid-1980s, there was a complete focus on succession from one generation to the next. And although this focus has continued, researchers have researched a multitude of other topics over the years. In a review of all publications prior to 2012, 5 topical clusters were identified. And it is these 5 clusters that present a bigger picture perspective of research topics in the field. Today, family business research is seen as rather fragmented. It covers many topics but lacks a depth of understanding of any particular one. And there's a need for increased specialization, or what we can refer to as topical expertise. In addition, there are a variety of existing and new topics that are in need of scholarly attention. And much promising research waits attention in the areas of socio-emotional wealth, and also our traditional management areas such as marketing and accounting. In fact, at NMMU, we currently already have 2 postgraduate students working in this area, both of area of marketing and accounting. You might have noticed often of late you see family businesses make use of the word family somewhere on their websites or in their advertising or on the radio. And we have a student specifically looking at the use of family in branding and whether this influences the financial performance of the family business. In the area of accounting, I think we ought to know it's well known that accountants are the go-to people for assistance amongst SMMEs, especially those that are family businesses. And how accountants need to adapt their offering to satisfy the needs of their family business clients is also an interesting and important area of study. Now, the focus of family business research has mainly been SMMEs. But today there's a focus on both large and small businesses, on both publicly held and privately controlled. In the early years, there was a balanced focus between the business and the family variable. Today, this focus is far more skewed towards the business variable. And there have been increased arguments in favor of focusing more on the family variable because it is believed that the family is key to understanding the domain. Now, this belief has led to an increase in studies on family businesses and the entrepreneurial behavior of these families, looking specifically at questions such as how they transfer resources and entrepreneurial mindsets across generations, how they preserve and transfer wealth. The concept of transgenerational entrepreneurship is often used in these studies. And one particular study is the STEP project. This is an international collaborative research project that focuses on transgenerational entrepreneurial families from around the world, the aim being to identify best practices. Now, the STEP project has 43 affiliate universities, 190 scholars worldwide, and more than 120 family cases in their database that researchers can draw from. In May last year, thanks to the generous sponsorship of the Gucci Family Investments, NMMU was able to join the project, becoming the first African affiliate. Last week, in fact on Friday, we submitted our first case to the STEP Global Base. The case was based on a business here in Port Elizabeth, the Topical Motor Group. And ladies and gentlemen, both the Gucci Family Investments and the Topical Motor Group are Port Elizabeth-based family businesses that we can all be very proud of. The field has also developed methodologically over the past 30 years. In 1983, researchers almost exclusively used qualitative methods. During the 80s and the 90s, research remained shallow in terms of systematic analysis and theoretical rigor. In the late 90s, there was an increase in empirical studies, employed more rigor, larger samples, and more sophisticated tools. And this trend has continued ever since. Today, the field is dominated by quantitative study. And despite this dominance, there's an increasing diversity of data collection and analytical methods being observed. However, there are continued calls for researchers to increase their understanding and use of various methodological opportunities. Although the field has been slow in getting underway, interest has grown significantly in recent years. And today, the field has grown from its modest beginnings to a substantial theoretical body of knowledge, leading to a fresh and emerging field of study in business research. Now, there have been several key role players in the development of the field. And of course, the Family Firm Institute, it hosts an annual conference which is more aimed at practitioners. Every year presents several awards to try and encourage research in the field. There are the various journals dedicated to family business research, and also the many special issues in mainstream management journals. There are a variety of conferences out there focusing on family business only, as well as increasingly we're seeing that mainstream management conferences are hosting specialized tracks on family business. Various family businesses, chairs and centers are out there, the creation of which started in the 70s, the first in the United States in 78, 10 years later in Europe. The Australian presence became known in the 90s, and many centers and chairs in other countries have joined in more recent years. Our NMMU family business unit was established in 2010, only probably really got going in 2011, 2012. It was the first in South Africa and in Africa. In fact, in 2012, there was been a survey that there's 57 assorted chairs, professorships, and fellow programs in 14 different countries. There are various professional associations, and as the field has grown, more courses, modules, and programs focusing on family business have appeared. Today, there are more than 140 worldwide. Now, despite the progress in the field, researchers face several challenges. Now, in addition to developing an own theory, which I've already referred to, other challenges include, well, what exactly is a family business? How are they different? Is this a legitimate domain? And of course, on a more practical note, remaining relevant, and of course, accessing data. Now, since the very first family business review, scholars have debated, okay, well, what exactly is a family business? And this is still one of the most discussed issues today. Several working definitions have evolved, and none have yet really gained widespread existence. But given this wide range of definitions, it's unlikely that a commonly agreed on one will appear in the near future. There is, however, general agreement on two approaches: the focused operational definition, which relies on the components of involvement in business, and the comprehensive theoretical essence-based definition. Now, in short, the components approach uses the extent of family involvement in ownership, management, and governance. And if we look at the definitions used in the Family 500 Index, this index defines a privately held family business as those where the family holds at least 50% of the voting rights, and it defines a publicly held as one where the family holds at least 32%. In South Africa, we generally use the components approach, and we define a family business as one with at least 2 family members involved in management, and the family owns more than 50% of the shares. The problem is that there are a wide variety of components, so this approach may be operationally convenient, but it is not theoretically sound. The essence approach, yes, it requires a percentage of family involvement, but also that this involvement is directed towards behaviors that produce a certain distinctiveness. In fact, the essence of a family business consists of the intention, yes, to maintain control, the unique, inseparable, synergistic resources and capabilities arising from family involvement and interaction, a vision set by the family and intended for transgenerational pursuance, and the pursuance of such a vision. Family business researchers are also often faced with questions such as, well, what's different here? What's new? In answering these questions, some of the key issues that need to be addressed by researchers are how and why a family business behaves and performs in a manner that's different. The answer lies in understanding the reciprocal influence of family on business and vice versa. And it is this reciprocal influence and the paradoxes caused by the involvement of family in business that are key features that distinguish the field from other disciplines. Now, as such, the family business, the affairs of the family are closely and intricately intertwined with the personal affairs of the family members. And this occurs for 3 reasons. First of all, we have strong emotional overtones. Families provide a rich context for emotional exchanges. There's warmth, love, intimacy, there's hatred, there's fighting, there's jealousy. And the boundaries between the family and the business are often blurred, with emotions flowing back and forth between and influencing how the business operates. Often you find that the identity of family members is tied to the business, often carries their name. And as such, the personal pride and the self-concept of family members is often tied to the family business. Families also have a strong desire to instill their values in the family business, and these values often act as pillars for the culture within the business. Family business owners also have a strong desire to cater to the welfare of the family unit. Family business owners get great satisfaction from assisting family employees or members, regardless of their contribution to the business or their ability to reciprocate. Family businesses are different because they pursue a variety of financial and non-financial goals. In fact, major managerial choices are driven by, yes, economic considerations, but also the desire to preserve and enhance the family's socio-emotional world. It is these mixed goals that help to identify the uniqueness of family business research. The field has also struggled in its efforts to be recognized and accepted as an intellectually rigorous, independent domain. According to Berg, for a domain to be regarded as an independent, several elements are required. It requires professional associations and communication sanctions, ethical cultures, and a culture. Now, the Family Firm Institute currently provides that for the field. An independent domain requires career opportunities that lead to an occupational position. You study accounting to become an accountant. You study psychology to become a psychologist. Today there are graduate programs. There's an accreditation process that allows individuals to become qualified professional family business advisors. An independent domain requires systematic theory and an established body of literature. The increase in publications in family business is evidence of an increasing body of knowledge. According to Chrisman, for a discipline to gain credibility and legitimacy, it must display a combination of novelty, something that's new, unique, different. There must be continuity, linkages with intellectual frameworks that are already familiar to scholars, and there must be a scope, a range of phenomena encompassed by the theory. All three of these are increasingly demonstrated by the wide variety of theories, methods, and topics evident in family business research. According to Kuhn, the evolution of a scientific discipline follows 7 stages. We have the pre-paradigm stage. There's no common body of knowledge. There's the development of paradigm consensus. A core body of knowledge develops. Then there's some kind of normal science stage. Then there's some stage 4, some kind of crises, where unobservable facts are unexplainable. Then a new paradigm emerges that is not comparable to the old. There's the resumption of normal science and the recycling through stages 4 and 7. If we consider Kuhn's stages, the field of family business has reached what we refer to as paradigm consensus. There's a core body of knowledge that exists. The domain is characterized in terms of symbolic generalizations. There are shared commitments and values. There are shared examples of success. The consensus has emerged. The field is currently in stage 3. And to evolve requires robust theory building and an integration of accepted theories to better explain a phenomena that is consistent with the prevailing paradigm. I had to write that whole thing out, else I would never have remembered. Ultimately, the aim of family business research is to inform, lead, enrich, and guide managerial practice. However, the language of scientific conversations does not address the problems of practice. And what is needed is a link between theory-based research and practice-based problems. According to Wilson, in a field with great external applicability, research insight should ultimately benefit the businesses and the families behind them, and in turn strengthen economies and societies. When it comes to accessing information, another challenge facing researchers is to access information. Databases are scarce. In fact, in most cases, the fact that it's a family business is not even recorded. Databases are not freely accessible, making research difficult and expensive. Family businesses are notoriously secretive and suspicious of outsiders, and it requires a far higher level of trust and engagement on the part of researchers to get these businesses to participate. Family businesses are different. Depending on the definition used, your percentage of family business in a sample can vary between 15 and 80%, which could significantly influence your empirical results. And scholars thus need to very clearly define and describe the segment that they're investigating. Given all these challenges, you might ask, well, why do people study family businesses? Well, some say it's because they're the dominant form and because of the contributions they make. Others because of the high failure rate, especially in terms of succession, or because they financially tend to outperform non-family businesses and hope to therefore gain insights that they could transfer over to mainstream management science. Other reasons, there was a supervisor or a colleague that encouraged you, or you grew up in a family business. But for most researchers, it is this unique interaction between the family and the business that presents a complex research setting that is intrinsically interesting. Now you might ask yourself, well, why did Shelley Farrington study family business? In 1998, my brother Sean, he started a kitchens and cabinets business from my father's garage. I was involved to a degree in the beginning, mostly trying to do his books and raise money. Over all those years, I can always just remember looking for money. And some of my colleagues in those days can remember me panicking around, but we're always trying to find money. In 2001, I sort of put my money where my mouth is, and my elder brother and I, Andre, we joined the business and we formed a close corporation. In my view, we were the perfect partnership. We were great friends, and we had complementary skills. I was involved with Wooden Wonders for over 13 years. In 2003, I was under increasing doctoral pressure, like all my junior colleagues can relate to, I'm sure. 2004, Elmarie came running into my office with this extract. The sibling partnership as ownership structure among family business is still an unproven approach to leadership, and there's a general lack of understanding of what goes into creating and maintaining such partnership. I finally found the topic for me. I was part of a family business, a colleague introduced me to the field, and I found this topic very interesting, something I was prepared to read at night in bed. I believe that research in South Africa can contribute to the field in several ways. To date, there's very little research done on the African continent and virtually none on black-owned family business. It is well known that families vary across cultures. And by comparing the strategy making and the distinct resources and capabilities of African family businesses with those in other cultural settings, insights can be provided into the underlying factors that contribute to the success under different cultures and circumstances. Such studies will also respond to increased calls for the field, for cross-cultural studies in the field, and for the field to open up its boundaries to international and ethnic contexts. The concept of family also varies across culture, and it's not feasible to define family across cultures. The field would be well served by possibly thinking of kin-based rather than family-based business. Given the African concept of family and the extended members that includes research in South Africa can contribute to the feasibility of studying these kin-based businesses. By researching family business in South Africa, insights can also be brought to light on how these businesses operate and succeed in dynamic institutional environments. Also, a new and important stream of research. In recent years, there have been many increased calls for family business research to focus on the families. Now, we have many black South African businesses in entrepreneurs that have started and been very successful in their businesses under very difficult circumstances over the years. But they've managed to succeed and identified what has allowed these individuals or their families to succeed in business where others have not, can provide valuable insights to all families in business, especially those in hostile environments. As a result of black economic empowerment, we also have many first-generation family business owners. And an interesting area of study is investigating these families in terms of how this wealth is used to generate entrepreneurial activities in the future, how entrepreneurial mindsets are developed and transferred to the next generation, and how this wealth is preserved for the family in the future. In an attempt to address some of these questions, we currently have a PhD student underway within the context of the STEP project. Some of you might recognize him. This study addresses the need for deeper insights and an increased understanding of the practices implemented among indigenous African family businesses that have survived across the generations, and of course the context in which they operate. NMMU is already making a significant contribution to the field, and this we are doing through both the creation and the dissemination of knowledge. In terms of research, 60% of articles written by South Africans have been written by NMMU authors. These are articles on family business. 72% have been accredited. Only 2 articles written by South Africans have appeared in both in the Family Business Review, both by NMMU authors. NMMU scholars have presented more than 55 papers at conferences, and currently there are 5 PhDs underway. Most of our research occurs through our family business unit. Unit members have written more than 100 articles in the popular media, done more than 60 public talks and keynote addresses, appeared on national television, offered 4 family business consultation training programs. We're offering a 5th in November this year. This is a short learning program aimed at assisting all service providers, whether it's financial planners, accountants, or lawyers, in serving their family business clients better. Unit members have done more than 20 consultations to family business. We've co-hosted 3 family business conferences with KPMG. In fact, the 3rd is now in September. KPMG is hosting its 3rd family business conference in September this year. The unit has also hosted 2 internationally renowned researchers. Professor Sharma, who's the editor of the Family Business Review, And unfortunately, she was not able, she was due to visit us earlier this year, but had to cancel at very short notice. Unit members have also developed national and international links and collaboration. And with regards to teaching and learning, we have an elective that's currently under review. You know, although the field of family business remains a new field trying to gain legitimacy within the broader field of management studies, its legitimacy and importance is on an upswing. And regardless of the metric used, whether it be publications or impact factor, irrefutable evidence exists defending the field's status as an independent, legitimate scholarly field. I would like to conclude with the following. In March this year, an article appeared in Harvard Business Review highlighting the growing importance of family businesses. The article reads, in the context of competition in the 21st century, family businesses have innate strengths over other forms, especially public companies. For most part of the last century, companies confronted oceans of opportunities, which meant that winning strategies revolved primarily around size, with public companies having a clear advantage. But firms today are no longer looking out at endless opportunities. Instead, they have to struggle for their very survival in an intensively competitive world of slower growth, lower returns, and more frequent economic crises. In terms of this brave new world, public companies are losing their dominance. For family-owned business, the story is rather different. The qualities often associated with family business that were a handicap in the previous century are turning out to be a powerful source of advantage, giving them the potential to be more adaptive to the increasingly intense competition that all businesses are facing. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that my lecture this afternoon has laid rest to the many skeptics who question whether the field of family business is indeed a legitimate scholarly field, and that it provides current and future researchers with some insights into this complex domain. The field of family business needs to take up its place in mainstream organizational science, where it can continue to attract attention and provide researchers with exciting research possibilities for years to come. I thank you for your attention.